Hi, everybody. It's Friday again, and that means it's me again. Welcome to Moohead Radio
And me again.
and Bronk again. I'm a big furry moohead, and
I'm
he
a big
is
furry moose.
he's a moose. And we got some things to go over in the program today. Friday shows used to be black hole and space shows. Once football season ended, uh, it was more or less a time to ponder some things. And today I'm pondering a lot of things, and I wanted to share it with the sparse live audience that we have these days.
Barely
And
alive.
yeah, exactly. And of course, with the larger audience that is, got a life and got a job, and they wait before they listen to the program. Uh, Here's the first story that really made me wonder. It's like,
Okay.
what has poisoned sports to this degree? There is a
I don't know.
women's basketball game in Cleveland, okay?
Okay.
Magnificent St. Joseph Academy for girls,
Yeah.
okay? They were playing St. Joseph. Magnificent was leading by 15 points starting the fourth quarter. And St. Joseph came out playing a 2-3 zone defense. So Magnificent just started dribbling the ball, right?
Yeah.
And so that they would break out of the 2-3 zone and go man or woman in this case. Oh, Magnificat. Thank you.
Magnificat. Yeah.
Right.
They are right.
They are right. And I'll take your word for it. Thank you, I appreciate it. So they refused to come out of their 2-3 zone. So Magnificat dribbled the clock out for 7.5 minutes. I'm not making this up. Over 7 minutes, nothing happened, and the game ended.
Yeah.
Now, I thought in a high school girls basketball game, this was an opportunity to try to win. They were down 49-34. And what the heck? You come out, you say, okay, we're going to see if we can play a zone against them. And they're going to stand out there and dribble. And all right, we'll go out of the zone and we'll take our chances. We're already down 15. I mean, it will require a massive comeback. And that means we'd have to steal the ball if you're a St. Joseph fan, and we'd have to score the ball a hell of a lot. Instead, they just stood there and basically did nothing. So all the parents who came out to the game, this is what they got to watch. The players, being led by their magnificent leader, basically told them, nah, just fucking give up. You can't play the zone. We're going to take our toys and go home. Fuck that shit. When did this start? Oh my God. I mean, what would Al Pacino say about this?
I don't know. What would Al Pacino say about that? Hooah!
If I were a younger man, I'd take a blowtorch to this place.
Wow. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is ancient history, but wasn't it like the Kentucky four corners, duller than ditchwater offense that forced
North
the
Carolina,
shot
the North Carolina Four Corners, yeah.
Yeah, they forced the shot clock in NCAA basketball.
Oh,
This was
yeah.
like
I mean, we
50 years
played
ago.
Miami of Ohio. We played North Carolina when Phil Ford was the point guard for North Carolina. They were a huge national team. Yeah. And the final score of the game, Miami lost by 1 or 2 points, and it was like 53-52 or something like. I mean, because in the fourth quarter, sure enough, they went into their deep four corners offense. Like that was some kind of a goddamn strategy.
Yeah.
And boy,
God,
I don't understand.
Was that? That's a while ago.
So Karen Swanson Hahn is the head coach, if you want to call her that, for St. Joseph Academy, who just told her players, fuck it.
Fuck it.
Yeah. So,
Oh, you're probably getting to this, but it is a sad day today. And
Yeah, Apollo
this
Creed
isn't a
died.
yeah, Apollo Creed actually died, not like when he got hit by Ivan Drago, but he's actually dead now. The guy who played
Wait.
him.
There's somebody who wants to chime in. For Adrian died, and now uh, Apollo. And
Yeah, Creed.
Polly's dead too, you know. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, I'll stop the crying rocket there. I'll just go, let me drop down this way and talk about it sensibly. I mean, first of all, Polly's dead, you know.
Yeah.
He's dead. Adrian dead.
They're all dead.
Apollo's
Everybody's
dead.
dead. Everybody's dead.
I don't think there's going to be another sequel. Drago might as well be dead, you know?
Yeah.
The whole thing. I felt bad about it. I didn't even know that Carl Weathers was in bad health.
No, apparently he's not going to recover. So there you go.
Yes, he's really dead, Captain Fierce. Hi,
He's
Kathy.
dead.
How you doing? Yeah, he's really
Yeah,
dead.
he's dead. He is dead.
76 years old. And I don't know what the story was. Obviously, they wanted to keep things quiet. He died peacefully in his sleep, is what they said. And Chubbs is dead.
Yeah, you know what? What you want to avoid is to be surrounded by your family. Everyone who is surrounded by their family suddenly dies.
Yeah,
You know?
that's true. It's like, go home, go home.
away. Don't go. Fuck off, family.
So
Still
in the
alive.
end, Chubbs was reunited with his hand. All right. So yeah, I felt bad about that too. Here's the next thing that I shake my big cow head at. It's like, this is supposed to be good news. Okay. The Cleveland Guardians games to continue to be televised after a deal is struck with Diamond Sports Group, our good friends at Valley Sports Ohio. All right. Now, here's the thing that kills me about this.
Yeah.
They reached an agreement with the Guardians to broadcast games through 2024 on its local Valley Sports channel, the team confirmed on Friday. The other teams involved included the Minnesota Twins and the Texas Rangers. Now, after 2024, you're on your own. They can go ahead, the Guardians, and negotiate whatever deal that they want to negotiate with WUAB.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, Joe. What are we doing back here? I don't get it.
There's still WKBF. I mean,
yeah,
Channel 61.
Channel 61, the home shopping network. That's what it became.
Really?
Yeah, we had one of those in Canton, Channel 67, the home shopping network. It's like, oh, wasn't that great having a TV station?
Yeah, they all started like Dick Goddard, the people doing the announcing.
So, my feeling about this is that's supposed to be good news for the fans, ?
Yeah.
Well, it turns out that you're not going to be able to watch the games.
Why?
Why? Because they're not going to be shown on the Valley Sports app. If you don't live in the greater Cleveland area, you can't get it on satellite. That is what you call
grim.
Bullshit.
Yeah, that's grim.
It's all about business, and the fans don't mean a goddamn thing. They really don't.
No,
you got to understand that.
They're in the way. The fans are in the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like the Guardians are trying to put together a winning team anyway. They brought Cookie Carrasco back. And he was as stiff as Carl Weathers.
Oh, poor Apollo.
That's not funny. I know a funny joke by here when you know.
Yeah.
Hey, Butkus. Yeah, no. The Guardians aren't trying to put together a winning team, and I really don't care whether I see them or not, but there are fans who are 82 years old who want to watch.
Yeah, I mean, there's senior citizen homes up and down the whole Cuyahoga County that won't have anything to do
if they're
during the summer.
To continue calling them the Indians. Yeah. I mean, that's,
exactly.
I think we should.
The spiders.
I think at this point we just should, because they don't care about us. We don't care. We just don't give a shit anymore. The games will not stream on the Bally Sports Plus app, which never worked properly anyway. And a subscription
Wow.
to cable or satellite television provider or live TV streaming service, such as Fubo TV or DirecTV, is required. So,
Wow.
there's just no good way.
Or you could probably subscribe to MLB.com, whatever the hundred and some dollars that is. But I think I could do that in England, but
Now,
no.
here's the next thing that makes me shake my big cow head. And this,
Oh, not more shaky at the cowhead. You'll get a concussion doing that. Yeah.
this is the most bizarre of all.
Oh no.
All I'm going to do is read a story to you.
Okay.
All right.
Story time with Dr. Moo.
Story time. And I'm reading this from ESPN. All right.
Okay.
Deshaun Watson said the Browns gave him the keys to the offense, but now the Browns are planning a bigger role for their quarterback this offseason. Deshaun's a driver. He's got to be involved in the setup of the car even more, Kevin Stefanski said Friday at the team's end of season news conference.
Okay.
All right. That means not just audibilizing, but that means game prep and prep as far as what strategy the team takes onto the field. Now, the reason I'm reading this story is it's complete fantasy. But I bet when we get into the archive views, there will be hundreds of people who end up with high blood pressure from what I just said. But all I did was substitute one name for another because it's Lamar Jackson, who said that the Ravens gave him the keys to the offense, and the Ravens are planning a bigger role for him this offseason. And that's what John Harbaugh said. Lamar's a driver, which is insulting. That means it sounds like he's a limousine driver.
Chauffeur. Yeah, with
That's
a little
right, you're
cap
right.
on and the little buttons and the
Yep.
The lantern and everything,
Lamar's a driver. He's got to be involved in the setup of the car even more, he said. All season long, Jackson spoke about how Monken gave him more freedom to change plays at the line of scrimmage. Now, after speaking with Jackson on Thursday, Harbaugh said the quarterback is talking about Baltimore's offensive schemes, how to attack different defenses, pass protections, and route concepts. Those are things that are on his mind, and those are things that he's going to be involved with. The staff talking about, Harbaugh said, I'm excited about that. He wants to do it, and he's just into it, man.
Wow.
This is a real article, Captain Fierce. It's a real article. Nope.
Wow.
It's a real article. Now, could you imagine, and by the way, make this clear, they just signed him into a 5-year contract with $185 million guaranteed, and he just choked another playoff game, okay?
And he's got a 13 Wonderlic score, so,
Yeah, well, here's the thing that gets me. Every big game he's in, 2-4.
Gong.
Yeah, that's the truth. And he had a big opportunity in front of his home crowd to change the whole narrative, and he couldn't do it. Not only that, he played his worst game of the 6.
He did, yeah.
Now, with that said, can you imagine if it were turned around and the Browns said this about Deshaun Watson and everybody would be saying all kinds of fucked up things, but the people in Baltimore aren't saying a damn thing because they're on the hook, just like the Browns are. And this is what my point is.
Okay. What's
when
your
you
point?
sign somebody to a long-term contract with guaranteed money, he's going to be the guy.
Yeah, you're a partner with them, you know?
And you
You're a
signed him
partner.
up in April of 2023, and the last game he played,
Yeah.
horrible. And now it's like, oh my God. Well, what if this is what we're doing here? That no matter what we do, he's going to fuck it up in postseason. And do we really want him to be determining the game plan when he can't execute it because he's nervous?
Wow.
Oh, now that's funny, Rick. That's real funny. It's true. He caught his own pass, and that's what pumped his numbers up. It's true. Twoo, it's
Wow.
true. Yeah.
Woo.
And
Actually, I kinda like the idea of Watson having a say in the plan of the offense. That
and
sounds
this
like a good idea.
and this is what makes Browns fans ass wipes. I'm not a Lamar fan, but he's so much better than Watson. Anything that the Browns have, oh no, he's not as good as. But you know the fact of the matter is, Ron Shane says it was 13 yards. Okay, and how much did he have overall? It was probably about 8% of his
10%,
overall
yeah.
yardage for the game. So, but that's the thing that makes Browns fans real dick suckers, is that they always whine. They whine incessantly, and you folks don't deserve anything better. Every team is
No,
in
we
the
don't.
same boat. Every team is in the same boat. They're trying to get better, and the coaches are trying to get better when the owners are rolling out the red carpet and the guaranteed money, and the coaches then have to coach the fallout.
Yeah.
Happens with every team in the league. And, nobody in the beginning of the year, the favorites don't just show up and win the Super Bowl. It never plays out that way. No, you haven't missed the Callahan segment yet, but we're going to get into it right now because it's all part of the same syndrome.
Yeah, I
Double
guess I
T.
was wrong about that. I said there was no fucking way that he'd go take a job with his son,
Uh,
and that would never work.
Here's
So,
the deal.
here is the deal.
As far as Callahan is concerned, the only Callahan left in Cleveland is Clint Eastwood in old movies. And we kind of didn't want to say that it was so. But let's look at it for what it is. You're going to tell a man no, you can't go to work for your son. This is a guy who's 66 years old. He's been in the league since Hector was a pup. He gets a once in a lifetime opportunity to be able to help his son succeed as a head coach. And you want the Browns to say, no, we're not going to let you go. That's what makes you a dick sucker. You got to be some kind of fucking brain warped person. And it's like, well, there's no loyalty whatsoever. No, there really isn't. Not from the owners, not from the players, not from a contract extension. It's less significant than a penile extension because the penile extension lasts.
Wow.
I mean, the first thing I can tell you is it means nothing when somebody signs a contract extension because there are ways to get them out of it. And here's the other thing. So look, the Browns fans, please stop your fucking incessant whining. You have a coach who has been behind the offensive line coach, Callahan, for 4 years. His name is Peters, Scott Peters, I believe his name is. If it hasn't rubbed off on him in 4 years, then again, the organization's hiring the wrong fucking people.
Very true. Yeah.
But until you get to the point where you see it, don't fucking whine about it. Did you really think that Callahan was going to remain here for the rest of his life?
Well,
Do you think that he's bonded to stay in Cleveland? I mean, every team in the league is experiencing defection from offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators. The Bengals lost their offensive coordinator.
and
And
question for you.
what?
Question for you: do we
Uh-huh.
get a supplementary draft pick now?
No, you're not
I
gonna.
think we should. I think we
Well,
should.
no, nobody really wanted to, put the pedal to the metal on this. The guy wants to work with his son. God bless him. I hope they're both successful. I have no problems. He did a fine job in Cleveland. Callahan did a fine job, and I'm sure he'll do a fine job in Tennessee. I'm sure of that because he's just good at what he does. And you knew you were going to have to move on anyway. And that's the same thing that happened with Stump Mitchell. The guy was going to be 65 years old. You got to move on. And if the people, and let's look at the Ravens. The Ravens lost Wink Martindale years ago. They were playing. Now they lost their defensive coordinator. And or their former linebacker, they've moved him up. They move people up within their organization now, don't they? That's what the
Pretty
Ravens
much.
have always done. So if we are unable to do the same thing, then the problem is with management of the team. So whine about that when it happens, if it happens. But don't ask, why? Why does this only happen to us? It doesn't. It happens to every goddamn team. And who was it Harbaugh just hired for the Chargers?
Oh God,
The Chargers just hired somebody away from somebody. And it's just like, teams, any team that has a winning record, that has
Yeah.
success,
yeah.
loses somebody significant. The fucking Buccaneers were 9-8 to start the season. Or right at the end of the season.
End the season, even.
9-8. That's a 500 year, and most of our Browns fans be, oh God, 9-8 sucks. No, they lost their offensive coordinator.
Wow.
Over that. Any team that has success in the NFL right now loses its coaching staff, its position coaches, and it is considered gracious to let them move on to whatever's next. Because theoretically, you're supposed to have been training somebody underneath them to follow in their footsteps. That's the way the game works. So, so help me God, I don't understand all the whining. And the Browns are no different than any other team. And the Browns are indebted to Deshaun Watson because of the contract that Jimmy Haslam signed him to. And Harbaugh is chained to Lamar Jackson, who got what he wanted, and now he wants to bite off even more. It's not enough that he got to audibilize. Now he's got to have control of the plays. All right? He's got to have, he wants to be involved in the playbook creation. And what Deshaun Watson said on a podcast, he said, I've never been high on the 15 scripted play concept.
Well, yeah. Who has?
So, but why? Because if the head coach guesses wrong or does something utterly predictable, it's Deshaun Watson who's going to get crippled for the rest of his life.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, the quarterback wants to be able to come out, and if he sees them in a certain alignment, and it's like, holy shit, they've guessed right.
Exactly.
He doesn't want to run that fucking play come hell or high water. He wants to be able to get out of that play, and based on what they went over on film against the team, be able to run a play that'll work.
Yeah, correct. I mean, if he sees TJ Watt's about to get chip blocked by Jerome Ford, he's going to go, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want that play.
Yeah, but instead it's like, well, he's a selfish prick, Massage boy wants to go ahead and call the whole thing. Why don't you just become head coach too? Because it's all leverage. And if you don't believe leverage, look at what Art Modell did to the city of Cleveland.
Oh.
If you don't believe it's all about leverage, you're living in the wrong world, in the wrong place and time.
Yeah.
Everything is leverage. Everything. If you have the authority, you're going to do what you have to do. And Deshaun Watson can only get as far as making statements like that. But in the end, what will happen is if they don't allow him to do what he does best, he will suck. And the
Yep.
Cleveland Browns fans will whine
Yep.
and the team will lose.
Yep.
And that's just the way it goes. And you know what the funny thing is?
What's funny?
The Baker Mayfield thing is really tied into the whole thing because they're saying, you see, they didn't let Baker do what Baker wanted to do. And now look. And I go, what am I looking at? He played a fuck shit game. They were 9-8 during the season. Yeah, but didn't you see he won the skills challenge of pass accuracy, the Pro Bowl competition? I'm going, no fucking pass rush, you ass eater.
Yeah.
Whine. But the fact of the matter is that he didn't call the plays down in Tampa either. And Tampa, again, lost their offensive coordinator. And now he's going to have to play in like the fifth system that he's played in. I mean, and I don't blame Baker. Baker would love to have the responsibility of being more involved with the offense, but he hasn't played well enough to have earned it. He hasn't even played well enough to earn himself a big contract.
Yeah.
You bozos.
We'll see what happens, man. I mean, see how crazy the market is come June time. Yeah.
Yeah, and Rick May, that's correct. The Chargers signing the executive director, but the executive director is the head of all analytics for the Ravens.
Wow.
He's their top analytics person. Thank you for putting this up here, Rick. I appreciate it. So everything that you saw with that team was predicated on tendencies and based on analytics, and very analytics heavy team. And so he's gone now. So they have to bring in another analytics guy. And who knows? And the fact is, Double P, 500 not only would not have been good enough for the AFC, wouldn't be good enough for Browns fans, and it's not really good enough for any team to spend a huge amount of money and give him a guaranteed chunk of it if he just falls back and plays the way he has in other seasons. But you get to a point, and I'm going to defend Lamar Jackson. Okay. He has sold himself to the media in such a way, and he's played for a good football team with a tremendous defense and with great stability in the defensive way they play the game, that it really hid his inability to throw the football when necessary, when everybody knows he's going to throw the football.
Yeah.
And the organization knew that because they ran an offense that was full of quarterback runs and misdirections based on quarterback fakes. And I mean, they did whatever they could. They availed the middle of the field and let him throw to his tight end 60% of the time. They did everything they could for him. But in the end, the quarterback then says, I got leverage. And he says, I'm walking out on you. And he fucks up their entire free agency situation. He comes out onto the field, and in April, he says, okay, I'll sign the deal. He gets his money, and now he wants more. But the fact of the matter is, think of all the quarterbacks who never get that.
Yep.
So, if you get to that point, you're going to get into the wallet of the owner because it's the only way. It's the only leverage that you have over the greedy owners in the NFL. It's like, fine, you want to deal with your fan base and you want to deal with going from 13-4 to going 4-13, go for it, Bucky. So they paid him the money. The Browns paid him the money too. Now, Haslam is a whore. And the Browns are whores. Are the Ravens now whores? I'm just trying to make this an equal thing, and I'm an equality kind of guy.
Well, there you go.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander. If you want to call this the way it is, both teams are kowtowing because they are committed financially to players, and they got to make the best of it. And you hope that Jackson won't get hurt. You hope that Watson won't get hurt. You hope that Watson keeps a good attitude. You hope that Jackson keeps a good attitude. You hope that they are able to run the offense that you give them. You hope, you hope, you hope. But it's no different than any other team. I mean, believe me, the Patriots, I mean, even Bill Belichick, he hoped that Mac Jones would be an NFL quarterback.
No.
Not a happening. Think of all the teams like the Jets. You know, we got Zach Wilson. Yeah, we got Zach Wilson. Wait, we got Aaron Rodgers. Oh, wait a minute. What happened to Aaron? Get up. Get up. So, and if you think Aaron Rodgers is going to lead them to any glory next year, then you're smoking weed. You're just being again a whiny, negative Cleveland fan. And it gets so old. It gets so old. But I'm, I really feel good for Bill Callahan because let's be honest, offensive line coaches being called a guru is complimentary.
Guru. Oh, yeah.
But, it doesn't really, doesn't pay the bills now, does it?
No.
You could say great things about Bill Callahan, except that he got fired and when he was 62 years old, the Browns gave him a job. He was still getting fired. When people are preparing for retirement, he's getting fired. Being an offensive line coach, it ain't Kelsey and Swift. I mean, let's be real about this.
Yeah, it's not very glamorous.
Paparazzi is not following Bill Callahan around. So, the way I look at it is, if all of this leads to him being able to help his son become successful at the top rung of coaching, then it's all worthwhile. And I hope he does it. I really do. I hope it all works out.
Oh, well.
Yeah. So that's that. Everybody's putting their early mock drafts together, which I think is hilarious because it's kind of like, I don't know, beating off without lubricant. It only hurts in the end. What we need is a wide receiver. And I'm like,
gosh.
If I had a nickel for every time I said wide receiver. Right?
I got a concept. Why don't we just get the best player available? Somebody who can actually start and play games. I don't care what position.
And you know what the funny part of it is? They actually went to Andrew Berry.
Yeah.
And they asked him about this.
Okay.
You look at the situation, and do you think maybe you could use a wide receiver? And his comment was, not necessarily. Not necessarily. I think we got a good unit out there. It's like, if you think talking to him right now that he's going to show any of his cards, but when he says not necessarily, I fucking believe him. Because he never gets a wide receiver.
Yeah.
God. There's going to be a lot of them. They're talking about Jalen Polk out of Washington. But of course, the teams that play for the national championship, they get a lot of coverage.
Yeah.
And he could go to round 2. But we talk about this now, but he can move up to round 1 based on a great combine or whatever. But yeah, we need wide receiver. Absolutely. And I find it hard to believe that if you've given a guy 200 and however, what is it? 200, how much money do they give?
Like 230 maybe?
Yeah, $230 million, to a quarterback. The least you could do is give him a full complement of receivers.
Yeah.
You know, I think you got a good tight end in Njoku. You got another season of Amari Cooper, and not much more than that. And nothing else really jumped out at me, to be honest. Nothing
Yeah,
else
I
jumped
mean,
out.
I'm worried about Cooper. I think that sort of injury he's been getting is chronic as opposed to
Yeah.
fixable. That's sort of a retirement job.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you play with as long as you can until you can't
Yeah,
anymore.
I feel like Zadrunas Ilgauskas and his famous foot.
Oh,
The
well, that I
Dragonian
mean
and
was
all that.
surgically repaired and turned basically into a club foot. It took away. I mean, if you look at early Zadrunas Ilgauskas, he was really mobile for what are you 7'3".
Yeah, he was big. He was a big
But
lad.
he had a killer fadeaway. He
Yeah,
got off his feet. He rebounded, blocked shots. He did everything. And then he just became a statue who basically catch with himself when he'd miss underneath because he was 7'3". But,
correct.
uh, and this name comes up, and no offense,
T.
Captain
Higgins.
Fierce, T. Higgins, and they're just gonna, you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna franchise him. They're gonna tag him. He won't be available. And then there's the other thing. It's like we have this abundance of offensive linemen.
But they're all dead. They're all hurt.
Right.
They're dead.
They're all
Everyone's
perpetually
dead.
injured or not
Perpetually
motivated.
non-committable.
They're either not. They're either injured frequently. They are not very motivated.
Yep.
Or they went to the University of Cincinnati. But I'm not naming names.
No, don't.
So I don't want T. Higgins here anyway. Give me a young guy out of college. Give us somebody who's got a real future and somebody who pans out for a change. It's hard to believe that Anthony Schwartz was like, what, a third round selection?
He was a third round donkey, Project Prunk.
Just unbelievable.
Yeah, we can't be drafting projects at any position. Oh yeah, he'll be a great player 4 years from now. No, let's not do.
The good news that
Callaway. I mean, look at all the dickhead receivers we have drafted: Robisky, Callaway, Corey fucking Coleman or whatever. I mean, we have drafted receivers. They've all been the wrong fucking guy.
Yep. Yeah, but there has been some good news. I mean, DeJuan Jones was a real pleasant surprise.
Yeah, and he was a project donkey coming out. People weren't sure what they were going to get with him.
Well, I think that they questioned, his conditioning, his longevity, and his attitude. But I think that he proved that he can play. The question is whether he's proud of himself, and this is as far as he's going to go. Because quite honestly, that's what happened to Jedrick Wills. He just said
exactly.
He didn't work at his trade, and it's obvious.
His best year was when he was a rookie with
That's
Mayfield, and then it just all kind of like, oh, I don't care anymore. And then Mayfield ended up selling his shoulder pads on Progressive adverts.
Yeah, anyway. It's like you can hit it big. The problem is we hit it big with a wide receiver who is a great wide receiver who had drug dependency.
Yep.
So
Josh Gordon. So yeah.
Right. So I mean, but he was really good.
Yeah.
He really was good.
Well, I think Webster Slaughter might have been a first round pick. And then you go back to Paul Warfield, and that's about it. So there you go.
Yeah, you need somebody skilled. And whether it happens or not, I don't know. And then there's this, the fact that Ken Dorsey philosophically would run a similar offense to what Kevin Stefanski does. And the Browns are playing coy as to who's going to play calls. And it's not going to matter. The offense is going to be the offense.
Yeah.
Regardless of it all. And questioning the whole Ken Dorsey thing, I'll tell you the difference. AVP never said shit.
He never did.
I mean, even when they gave him a shit sandwich, he never said shit. Ken Dorsey breaks tablets, right?
Oh yeah, he's passionate. He's like the Jim Schwartz of offense.
Well,
Yeah.
and there you have it. Maybe he will just be a little bit more demanding.
Oh, I hope so.
And maybe, we don't fuck Chad O'Shea and all that conversation. Maybe
Yeah.
if we have an offensive coordinator who says to the guys,
Your
and
shit. Get
who
better.
tells Cedric Tillman, if you don't run through your goddamn patterns at full speed, if you don't think on the field, we got no use for you.
Yeah.
So, there's ways that teams can be impacted. We saw it with Jim Schwartz, and we see the two ways I have a feeling with Jim Schwartz. Yeah, I do. And that's absolutely true, David. I want somebody who will tell the young receivers that
To be
this,
accountable.
not only that, but it's about effort. It's about playing hurt. The game is what the game is. And if you're not giving full effort to your trade, get out of the league. No room for you. You're not going to succeed anywhere. That's the message that needs to be given to Cedric Tillman now, because he was not going hard enough last year. And that is just the eye test. It's simple. Anyone could see that. Joe Flacco saw that. It was like,
Yeah.
is there a reason why you just stop running in the middle of your patterns and just cut them and break them off?
Yeah, he had the balls to say something to the lad. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, and hopefully you want an offensive coordinator who gets into the ear of the players and says, we don't do things half-assed here. And let him lay the whip. Let the head coach be the glue who holds everybody together. And that's what Kevin can do. He can be a cool, calm guy. Let the madman, whether it's Schwartz or whether it's Dorsey, and I can tell you that Ken's a nice guy because I talked to him. So, I mean, he's not like a radical, crazy motherfucker, but he's a driven guy, and he's going to push that drive into his players. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about receiving is that if you can catch the ball and run patterns, you could be an undrafted free agent and play in this league. If you can do those two things. But if you can't, then it doesn't matter whether you're drafted number one or not,
Yeah. Now, Captain Fierce, there's something I can add to this. Of course, if we have a breakout on offense like we did on defense, we'll be in really good shape. But my feeling with the Browns is that when you have what I call a lame duck offensive coordinator, when the head coach is calling the plays and a romanticized quarterbacks coach is the offensive coordinator by title, and the head coach who's calling the plays, his attention is drawn into 4 different directions, 5 different directions. What do children do behind their parents' back if they're not being watched after?
Nothing at all, or mischief.
Yeah, right. Neither thing is good.
Yeah.
You got to have somebody on top of these people because I'll be honest with you. You hear so many stories of players lavishing all of their money and their bonus money on fancy cars, multiple cars, big houses, living large, taking charge. And everything is now. Nothing's down the road. You got to have somebody who lays the whip. You got to have somebody who's watching after them all the time. I never felt that AVP was anything but a go along to get along,
Yeah.
kind of fella. And Kevin Stefanski cannot pay close enough attention to that offense. And that's what an offensive coordinator does. And if players don't play full bore, not only the wrath of Dorsey, but the wrath of Stefanski which won't be yelling and screaming. He'll leave that to Dorsey. People just won't play. And that's why Cedric Tillman wasn't playing. You got a guy who's the 3rd round draft pick who's got some talent. And it's like, how come we're not seeing him? Well, because they wanted to force him to block because that's what Donovan Peoples-Jones did. So it was like, well, he looks like he can block, but he's not running the patterns the way they're supposed to be run. Until they had to play him because everybody was injured. And I've heard that name come up too, David, because Mike Munchak is another one of these old school, square jawed
Cleveland kind of guys,
defensive coordinator, blue collar kind of fella. And, there may be something to that. Because if Scott Peters isn't ready to take over, you don't want to find that out in the middle of the season, though, do you? You got to have somebody who has the respect and the ear of the players. Callahan did because he's just a great offensive line coach. Munchak would be a similar kind of guy, a hard-nosed, go out and plow people over. That's kind of offensive line coach he would be. And as far as losing free agents, who do you keep? Who do you let go? I liked Zadarius Smith. He missed a number of sacks that he had clear path to that maybe in another season he'd have gotten. He came through at the end of the year. He played well. I thought he did a good job. Could have had more sacks. But again, we wanted interior pressure. We wanted people who were able, so we have some guys, Shelby Harris, who's a little long in the tooth, but you're going to get him back for cheap because nobody's going to give him big money at his age. So, there's some people you're going to keep and some people are just going to go away. I actually heard people talking about not giving an extension to Greg Newsome.
Wow.
Yeah. Because he got picked on. Let's be honest. He got picked on.
He did.
He looked a little small and he became the slot defender. Emerson beat him out for the corner position is what it amounts to because of size, height, weight, being able to fight with some of the bigger guys.
Well, you could always find a decent cornerback in the 2nd round. Definitely. Like the 6th best cornerback is always pretty damn good. Unless it's Justin Gilbert. But anyway, I digress.
So what do you do if you're the Browns? You're going to lose free agents like every team in the league. You made some real progress with the interior defense. You're going to keep some of those guys around, but you got to find situational players. You got to find with the lower picks that you have, the highest pick, the skilled pick that you have in the 2nd round, you're going to have to use it a wide receiver.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're going to need to find a good running back in the 3rd round. If, I can't imagine right now that after the surgery that Kareem Hunt's having, that they're going to bring Kareem Hunt back. And as far as Jerome Ford, I think that they would keep him as a backup running back, but not as a primary back.
Yeah, he's his ceiling is pretty low.
And the odds of Nick Chubb coming back, in my mind, are below 50%.
Yeah.
So
he's dead.
You gotta, I think in the end, you gotta find a running back in there. And what you're looking for defensive line, offensive line is going to have to come from the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round.
Well, I'd like to see us get a linebacker at, maybe 3rd round, 4th round, because, is it Taki and a few other people free agents, and Anthony Walker's like perpetually dead. I mean,
But right now, you need to have defensive linemen, interior linemen, and people who can
yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong, but
big bodies to stop the run. Because the whole idea is our defense is established as man-to-man coverage. You got to stop the run, and by and large, we did that. And but it's a game of attrition, and I don't mind sixth round picks if they're big bodies who show that they have the agility as far as footwork and technique, that you can bring them along. You might have guys who are able to replace the Zadarius Smiths
yeah,
when it's their time to go.
yeah. I just think we need somebody playing with JOK that's more of a stay-at-home, classic linebacker, and lets JOK do his thing. You know, the sort of the guy that Mac Wilson was meant to be and never was. That sort of thing. Pick up tight ends coming out of the pattern. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah, and the Tennessee Titans hired Nick Holes to be their passing game coordinator. Well, no, actually, their offensive coordinator. He was the passing game coordinator for the Jaguars, and he took one look at Shampoo Hair Boy and just said,
no.
yeah, I'm going to move it on up." And this will tell you how things work. Jacksonville hired Holes after he served only one season as the offensive coordinator at UNLV, which is not exactly a big
Pretty
football
good
program.
basketball team, yeah.
But any way you fight your way up to the NFL, you find your way, and whatever's necessary. And he is now the offensive coordinator of the Titans, who have no quarterback and no offense whatsoever. So you take a chance. Let's finish up a little bit with the Cavaliers. Cavaliers last night won. It was a tough win. I haven't heard word on Jared Allen. If
Oh, what's
anybody,
happened to him?
Jared Allen allegedly did something with his ankle yesterday,
Oh,
and came out of the game, and he wanted out of the game. Uh, I don't know the answer to that, Radu. He was had an ankle injury of some sort, but we don't know how serious it is. And if anybody in the chat room wants to see if any further word has come down from the Cavaliers, that would be interesting to know. But they held on against what you knew would be an inspired Memphis team, who was really, by and large, with the exception of Jaren Jackson, was a group of players who were G League players, and and they did a good job out there until the final 3 minutes of the game, and when winning time came, they finally missed shots. It's amazing that Memphis. You start looking at what teams are accomplishing against the Cavaliers, and they just couldn't quite get over the top, because if you don't have a go-to guy, and again, Donovan Mitchell is our go-to guy,
correct.
and we ended up having a good conclusion to that game, that the Cavaliers are in fourth place in the conference, and they're nibbling behind the Knicks, who won't lose either. Both the Cavs and the Knicks are the hottest teams right now. Even though you only hear about the Knicks, you don't hear about the Cavaliers.
I
But
mean, I saw the fourth quarter of the Detroit game. What was it, 2 days ago? And again, it was like it was a close game, and then the Cavs blew them out with like 4 minutes left. So if we're playing longer games than the other team, then we're going to keep winning. If they're only playing 42 minutes and we're playing 48, then that's probably why we're having this winning streak.
yeah,
Yeah,
now, yeah, they did. They traded Steven Adams. The whole injury cascade for the Memphis Grizzlies has been unbelievable, and the head coach there is
Wow.
just living a nightmare.
I mean, what's up with the Timberwolves? I thought they were like head of the West. I
Yeah,
mean, what's going on there?
topsy-turvy right now. And and what I'm seeing here is that Joel Hans Embiid has an injury to his lateral meniscus in his left knee. Now, this is interesting. Uh, uh, when Jonathan Kuminga for the Warriors fell on his leg,
Ugh.
yeah. So he'll be out through the rest of the weekend while treatment options for the injury are being explored.
Mm.
Nobody knows how it's going to move forward, but if he has a tear in his meniscus,
Yeah.
they have to get that fixed, because what will happen with a big man like that and with the weight he
He'll
carries,
crumble.
well, not only that, arthritis will set in.
Yeah.
And that will be a career shortener for him.
Yeah.
He's
He'll
got to
be
get it.
Austin Carr.
He's
Yeah.
got
My
to.
knee, my knee.
He needs an arthroscopic procedure, and an arthroscopic procedure is what Evan Mobley had, and they considered 6 weeks, a fast recovery from that. And thank you, Rick May. I can always count on Rick day to day, whatever it is.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, that means that he didn't roll it over the whole way. That's for sure. Hopefully, against the Spurs in San Antonio, we'll have him out there, because I don't know what you're going to do with Wembayana. If you don't have Jared Allen in the game, God only knows Damian Jones is going to be like posterized, man. But again, with Philadelphia being a team that was supposed to be, 1, 2, or 3, and if Embiid is gone for 6 weeks, they're going to have to win without Joel Hans Embiid. Good luck.
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
Good luck. So the days ahead are going to determine a lot. Embiid missed 3 games last month because of soreness in that left knee. And that's what it's going to flare up, and he's not going to be able to play optimally. He had that 70 whatever point game, and you play big minutes and on that knee, and it just won't hold up. He's got to have the procedure. He's going to be out for 6 weeks, and you don't want to bring him back too quick, because that will create problems as well.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it's kind of sad about the NBA in the sense that the superstar players are on such a higher level compared to the mass of other players. Is that when one of them gets hurt, you can't really replace them ever. You just sort of suffer a 10-point deficit every game you go into. And I think that's more true of the NBA than any other league, really.
yeah, I mean, if you look at the non-starters in the NBA All-Star game, got Jalen Brunson named, Tyrese Maxey from the Sixers, Paolo Banchero, who's doing a wonderful job for the Orlando Magic, and they're slightly above 500 at 25 and 23. They were among 14 players who were selected as reserves to fill out rosters for the All-Star game. And that included Donovan Mitchell. Why he's not starting, I don't know, but he plays in Cleveland. We know why.
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown from the Celtics, Julius Randle, who won't be able to play because he's hurt, and Bam Adebayo, who's trying to get, now the Heat are trying to get back on their feet, because they'll be there. I guarantee you they'll be in the playoffs, and they'll hurt somebody badly, because that's their, but LeBron's agent made it clear that they weren't going to trade LeBron, so that LeBron was not going to be traded. So I don't want to hear any more LeBron trade shit. There's no point to that whatsoever. But I'm thrilled with the way the Cavaliers were performing. I really think that they are going to go after a taller version of Isaac Okoro. I'm not saying that Okoro is gone. I'm saying that Okoro is an important piece, but you need somebody coming off the bench who can stop the three and has the size. And we're going to be in competition with the Milwaukee Bucks, who are looking at the same player, Royce O'Neal, all right, from the Nets. And it's going to be an interesting thing to see what the Cavaliers do. I personally think that Caris LeVert is the wrong guy for the Cavaliers and that they should trade him, not because he doesn't try, but in my estimation, he's not a ball handler. They're trying to make a primary ball handler out of him. The offense comes to a screeching halt when he's on the floor because the ball sticks to him like glue.
Yeah.
He is not a good on-ball defender. He's a good passing lane defender. He's long, but he doesn't play good man defense, and his shooting is suboptimal. He's only 34% career from three, 43 from the field. He can get hot, but he's a volume shooter, and it just doesn't fit. And I wish that they would start playing Chris Porter Jr. As a backup point during times, if they insist on playing Garland and Mitchell at the same time. You got to have a real backup point, and CPJ would be the guy behind Darius Garland. And Darius Garland is prone to turnovers, and he's also prone to injury. And you want to keep your eye on him.
They beat the fuck out of him. I think that's sort of a league initiative to fucking pound Darius Garland to death. Every time he plays, he gets an elbow in the face. Or
he takes a lot of punishment. But you start going into the paint and you're slight of size, that shit's going to happen. And I always scream at Darius, take the pull-up. And I don't mean the three.
Yeah,
I mean, he has the quickness.
12-footer.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I get you.
The quickness to get around the corner, pull up and take that shot. He's deadly with it.
Yeah, and the thing about LeVert is the closer he gets to the basket, the weirder his shot becomes. It's like some off balance, like circus Harlem Globetrotter thing when he's 2 inches away from the basket.
Yes.
It rolls around and rolls off. So I'm sick of seeing that shit, you know.
And again, there's a team out there that can use him. And if you're going to use him as a guy who comes off the bench to score, I understand that. But I don't understand as a primary ball handler. I don't get it. And I think it's a bad idea. And I think you have a young player who can be, he already's proven that he can run that offense. And you got to look at who's going to be on the floor. If you want to utilize Sam Merrill, you can't have Caris LeVert freezing the ball and holding on to the ball. I mean, I don't know. I'm seeing with my own eyes, Sam Merrill runs off screens. This is what he does. And running off a screen doesn't mean dick if the guy is pounding the ball 30 feet from the basket at the top of the key, and poor Sam is like a pinball, bouncing off screens, doing whatever he can, and LeVert's not paying any attention. The whole thing with having a guy like Sam Merrill is he has such a quick release, and he's shooting 43.8% from three-point land, and he's a bench player because he's only 6'4", and you can only expose him for so long because defensively, he's not a guy who's going to move his feet. He can take a charge, but he can't move laterally with fast athletic players. You got to use him like Kyle Korver was used, you got to get him running off screens, got to get the ball into his hands at the right time, and he'll hoist it immediately. And he can score points off the bench. It's never going to happen with Caris LeVert on the floor with him. I guarantee you. With CPJ, it would happen. So you use the tools you got. All right. I'm done.
Oh, maybe we need a Howard Cosell tribute to Apollo Creed. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll do that before we go. All right. Right there.
Right there.
He's dead in front of all of his relatives. Down goes Weathers. Down goes Creed. God almighty. Oh, And I can't help thinking about Lola Falana's ass on Battle of the Network Stars.
Yeah, and Joe Frazier in the swimming pool during Superstars.
Somebody throw him a rope, he's drowning. The Superstars. I want to see Joe Frazier pole vaulting.
Yeah. Bob Seger kicked ass in Superstars.
Yeah,
That
that's
was
why
his
I'm
place.
saying that
Yeah,
would have been
he-
great if they would have had Joe Frazier having a pole vault. It's like, motherfucker, what you talking about?
Oh,
Do I
God.
look like a fucking fish to you? I mean, like 20 minutes after the race is over, you know, it's like, and Joe Frazier still dog paddling. One of my favorite
wow.
moments. All
That's
right, Bronk. Thanks for helping out again. I appreciate it.
Bah.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of Moohead Radio. We'll be back again on Monday with more shit. Until then,
More silliness.
hasta la vista, past your heads. Good night.
Bah.